Let me ask you something. What scares your players more than death? I'll give you a hint. It's not a higher challenge rating. It's not a massive fireball. It's not even a TPK. It's helplessness. It's when they watch their character, unconscious, bleeding out, get dragged away into the darkness while the rest of the party scrambles too far away to help. Welcome back to Monster Mechanics, the place where we take your monsters, your encounters, and your narrative tension and crank them up to 11. So whether you're a seasoned dungeon master or just cracking open your first screen, today's episode is going to give you a new trick to add to your toolbox, one that will leave your players sweating. We're diving into one of the most chilling, cinematic, and frankly underutilized tactics in Dungeons & Dragons, and that's having your enemies drag away unconscious players during combat. Sounds simple, but executed well, it's an absolute table shaker. Let's talk about why it works, how to do it right, and what it does to your players' brains. Trust me, you're gonna love this. So your party's in the middle of a burning village. Thick forest on all sides. The air choked with smoke and ash. The villagers are screaming, the buildings are collapsing, and amid all of this chaos, the heroes are trying to fend off these gaunt, bone-white wights, whose eyes burn with unnatural hunger. Now your rogue, bless her sneaky heart, overextends just a bit too far. One of the wights hits her hard. She goes down, 0 hit points. And the table collectively goes, oh no. But they've already reached for healing potions, business as usual. Then, you as the DM, you drop the hammer. A wight, one of the ones hanging back, steps into the clearing, eyes fixed on the rogue. It doesn't attack anyone, it just reaches down, grabs her by the ankle, and starts pulling her into the trees. Now the table erupts. Positioning doesn't matter anymore. Action plans go out the window. You've just turned a tactical game into a desperate chase. This works because it breaks expectations. Everyone's used to unconscious characters just lying on the ground, waiting to be healed. It's part of the flow of D&D. But if an enemy takes someone, now you're messing with something deeper. Players expect to control the battlefield. They're used to calculating risks based on damage and hit points. But abduction? That's a new kind of threat. That's not about damage, it's about loss. There's something uniquely terrifying about watching your character get pulled into the dark while you can't just do a damn thing to stop it. Except maybe try. Alright, let's get crunchy for a second. Can monsters do this by the rules? Oh yeah, and it's beautifully simple. All you need is a creature with decent strength. Grappling is just a contest of athletics versus acrobatics or athletics. If the creature's unconscious, no contest. They auto-fail. Once the grapple is in place, the creature can move, but at half speed, and that's perfect. You want it to be slow. That gives your players a chance to react, to chase, to get sloppy. And remember, don't just use any creature. Pick ones that make sense. Forest wights dragging victims off to be devoured in a ritual grove. Drow slavers retreating into the Underdark. Cultists pulling bodies towards an altar. Give them a reason, and now it's storytelling, not just simple combat. Foreshadowing is going to be your friend here. If you really want to milk this moment for all it's worth, you don't spring it out of nowhere. Let your players pick up clues earlier. A panicked NPC describes people vanishing during attacks. Maybe there's scratch marks and trails leading into the woods. Maybe they find a half-eaten gear from a previous victim. And use your battle map wisely. Mark the edges of the forest. Leave a visible path or portal. Put an actual destination on the board so players can see where their friend is being taken. It's not just a forest edge, it could be a cliff, a cave, a gate to hell. That's the finish line. The moment you have a monster grab a downed PC and start moving away, you'll watch the whole vibe at your table shift. It's like someone turned the tension knob to 11. Players who were focused on spell ranges and bonus actions suddenly start making emotional decisions. The fighter, for example, might abandon a winning strategy to sprint across the map. The healer might blow a big spell just to try and slow the enemy down. And you, as the dungeon master, you get to sit back and watch the drama unfold. These are the moments your players remember, not just the damage numbers, not just the loot. It's emotional distress just like this. Let me tell you a quick story from my own table, because this tactic, I've used it. It's one of the most electric moments we've ever had. The party was knee-deep in cult territory, battling through the crumbling ruins of an old temple. This wasn't meant to be a boss battle exactly, just a tense skirmish while the party was hunting for an artifact. And earlier in the session, I seeded a little hint. A tattered cultist journal with a cryptic line about, "The offering must still breathe." You know, classic foreshadowing as a dungeon master. So the fight was going smooth, maybe a little bit too smooth though, until the warlock overextended. She gets dropped, scimitar to the back, poison kicking in, boom, she's unconscious. And that's when I made my move. One of the cultists, previously lurking behind a shattered pillar, darts forward, grabs her by the arm, and starts dragging her towards a chute I described earlier. Just a detail at the time. I said something like, "A crumbling hole leading downward, old bloodstains around the edge." But now, that chute had meaning. The room exploded. The rogue broke from cover to intercept. The cleric shouted something and finally used command. And the paladin dashed so hard across the map he almost fell over his own mini. And best of all, the warlock's player, completely unconscious, was grinning. She was whispering, guys, don't let them take me, please." In this kind of table energy, you don't just get from the math, you don't just get it from the rolls, you get it from fear and urgency, and you have to be the one bringing that to the table. The party eventually ended up saving her, but just barely. And when the dust settled, no one reached for loot. They just sat there in stunned silence. And that silence is how you know you've nailed it as a dungeon master. Even if the dragged player is rescued, even if the party wins the fight, the seed is planted. Next time someone goes down, you'll see the players panic and flinch a little bit. They'll start treating unconscious characters like liabilities. They'll protect each other more. They'll reposition. They'll act like it actually matters. Because now they know what can happen. They know what's on the line. You didn't just make the fight more exciting through this. You changed how your players play the game at your table. And that's the goal, right? To make combat meaningful. And remember, this tactic isn't limited to undead. Any intelligent or instinct-driven creature can be written with this behavior in mind. Goblins dragging victims to interrogate, kobolds taking prisoners for their dragon overlord, and fey spirits luring people into the trees. And even wild animals might drag prey back to their lair. It just makes sense. It's nature. Give the monster a goal, and suddenly dragging an unconscious PC becomes part of the narrative. So if you're looking for a way to elevate your combat and give your players a story they'll tell for years, give this one a try. Drag them off just once. The moment that mini starts sliding towards the map edge, that's when the magic happens. And hey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more monster tactics and encounter design tricks. Share your best rescue stories in the comments. I love hearing how y'all's tables explode. I'm Monster Mechanics. Keep your monsters smart, keep your players terrified, and I'll see you in the lair.